When you're setting up a cafe, it is so important to make sure that you consider workflow. Not only customer flow, how you produce your products, but also how your food and your product will end up back at your customer. So I just want to take you for a tour around the Artisti Espresso Bar and highlight the things that we've been thinking about, like our power, our water, and definitely layout. So let's have a look and we'll start outside. So the first thing I want to talk about is how our customers come into our cafe. We've got a main door here and a sliding door for exit as well. We're in an industrial estate, so we made a little shop in the front. So come on in. We've got our offices that go upstairs, so we can have our staff run straight up, but our customers can come straight in to our point of sale. We can produce the products, they can pick up this side and then exit out through the front door. That was amazing with some of the challenges we had last year because customers could come in and out very easily, and we never really had a challenge on the flow of customers. We had to close our dining area, but even if it is open, our customers can sit down. We can serve them still from the same end of our coffee bar, and it has a nice flow because it does fit into our retail space. So that's how we look at the overall picture of where the customers are going to flow in and out. They're not crossing over, the staff can service the tables or the retail area, and they're not going to be butting heads. So that's definitely something that you need to look at. Number one is your customer flow from ordering to how they leave with your products that you've sold them. Now, to focus a bit further on the bar, come on around and I want to show you a little bit more about our space. It's not a huge space. So this bench here is just over 2.8 meters, so 2.84. The gap between here is 1100, and we've got a rear 600 deep bench. Now, we've utilized the area underneath the stairs for our wash up, so we thought that was a really smart sort of area. So, you know, this could be similar to a small takeaway shop or maybe a shipping container, but we can still pump out the volume. And we've had to think a little bit more about a few of those considerations to make sure that we're going to be able to service lots of different things here. So come on down this side. Our customers start here. We've got our ordering system, our POS, obviously our till, and a bit of our paperwork in underneath. We write on our cups, which you would have seen in a lot of videos, so we don't have a docket printer. We basically just allow our cups to come straight off our machine. We write our order, and they're basically on top of the machine, allowing us to start to produce the coffee in that flow. Now, you'll see that on other videos, so I'm not going to look so much on that side, but look at the structure and things we've had to think about. You're probably noticing now that we have quite a high bench, and we've got our double door fridges here, and there's a big gap. Well, the gap here is so that we can have plumbing and a few extras underneath here so that we can have basically an extra storage place. But primarily, if we come down and have a look, it allows for our drain to really work nicely. It gets a good flow, and a lot of people forget about that when you're designing the height of your bench. So just to give you a quick measurement here, most standard commercial fridges around that 850, usually 860 is what they say. We're finishing our bench height at 980, so that gives us, quick maths, 130? I think I've got that right. Yep, it's a 95 mil gap plus our bench top thickness there. So there is plenty of room to store some extra bits in there, our cleaning things. We've actually got our sugar that sits under here, which really helps us put the sugars into the cups as we come from one side from our grinding across to our cups. So that's actually a very valuable space for us. In here we have our milk system all loaded up with bladdered, but on this side we have our alternative milks. So the person standing on this side of the bar can easily access the alternative milks very easily. We do have a milk system which allows us to draw full cream and light from the left-hand side of the fridge, so we don't have to keep topping up or grabbing bottles throughout our service. And that's a jug washer as well. So it's allowing us to change those jugs and keep a lot more space here free for us to serve and pump out our coffees. A lot of people forget about this space here. You've got to have a big landing space, because when you start to get your sauces, and if you get 2 or 3 orders lined up and you're trying to pour out coffees here, you still want to be able to push a takeaway out for someone to collect. So you definitely need about a 600 wide space to be able to land those coffees and produce them. But if you can have this depth, it is so much better. This is a full 900 bench top deep. So that allows us to really take advantage of it. If you've just got a jug washer, set it back a little bit and have your milk bottles sit behind it, and that'll free up this space here for you to keep pouring out and froth and produce your coffees without having to really reach or bump into anything. So that space here is gold. Don't put your jug washer right here where some people do it. Come back around under the counter here. So there is one really significant thing about this side that we've had to do. We've got hard water plumbing here, and we've got the drain for the coffee machine that does go back through a normal PVC pipe trap. All our water's filtered from the back of the shop. But with our milk system, we've just got that running into a couple of buckets. Now we've got 2 buckets there. Yes, it can cause issues to overflow, so we do have to keep our eye on it. But the reason that we do that is, like many factories, we've got a good old concrete floor, and in the back corner there is just solely one toilet and a little wash-up station. So all of our waste has to end up out the back, and when you've got concrete walls, concrete floor, you've got to come up with a solution. So I'll show you what we've got next door, which is helping us with all of our waste, especially from that sink. This is our training room. Sorry, it needs a little bit of love, so don't look too close. But under here, we have a pump out box. So essentially all the waste from that espresso bar comes in, it runs the waste from our training machines as well, and it pumps straight up through the wall, goes across the top of the roof, and then connects to our plumbing out the back. So we don't want to put our fatty milk into that box. They do need to be cleaned out quite regularly. And if you've got that fatty milk in there, it does get a bit of bacterial growth. So we just make sure we have hot water, our detergents from our sink, and our coffee from our drip tray basically going through that pump out box. It's a much more pleasant experience when we've got to clean that out. If you look at wanting those, you do have to have some sort of maintenance schedule. We clean ours out monthly, but if you're going to push that time out, you're probably going to start getting a few blockages and it's going to get stinky. So make sure you clean it a little bit earlier. When we look at our machine here on the bar, you've probably noticed we've had some 3-group machines and some 2-group machines. So as a power, we actually have a 32 amp power supply under here, and that allows us to change our machines quite easily. And that's just hardwired in under the back, actually with a 32 amp plug, I should say. So we can put a 20 amp or a 32 amp straight in. Now the other consideration, even though we've got a 900 bench top, you've got to understand how deep it is underneath the bench. So if we pop back under here, we're 750 deep to the back wall, because in a cafe you would have to have your plumbing pipes and your coffee machine pumps, which is about 100 mil off the wall, and filters, and that's going to push your fridge right out. That is the key measurement that so many people get wrong. So if you can make it 800, you'd be even happier. So make sure the underneath cabinet there, you check those measurements. It's definitely the biggest one that catches when we install machines in cafes. We've just made a little bit of space here. So we've got our takeaway trays and saucers, just easy reach. It's the things the barista on that side needs to be able to service those customers in a hurry. So that pretty much covers the bar there. If we have a look on the side behind us here, we've got our main grinder, which is basically 85–90% of our business. So that keeps it nice and easy. On the back bar, we've got our milkshake maker, our batch brewer, any of our alternative brewing gears, our kettles, which is temperature controlled, and then we've got the grinder, which becomes the hub for all of this stuff here. So when we turn around, we basically have all the tools here for us to do our alternative brewing. We can have all of our singles, which are pre-weighed in the back here. Again, you might have seen those on a couple other videos, but they're all dated, weighed out, ready to go. And as we go down through our drawers, we've got drip bags and bigger batches here ready for other brewers throughout the day. And it also allows us to sample all of our retail stock. So we're thinking ahead, and then once the person needs to tackle anything on this side, they don't have to keep going back and turning around, because the spinning around effect just makes you dizzy, and that's something that you don't want to have as far as a layout for your baristas when they're working in a bar. So now I want to really come and focus on this part, our main production of coffee area. When people start to talk to us about designing these and they give us some plans, they have some really short measurements for this space. And most of the time we're talking with designers and owners and saying you need a bit more so you can handle it. So the key part is really understanding your size of your coffee machine. This is a 3 group, so it's quite wide. And people think that when you can draw it on a piece of paper, you can literally put down the measurement of 950 wide, but you can't, because you need space to be able to have a bit of room. If you do want to use the frother on this side, then we look for about 100 mil between each item that you're going to have on your bench. So consider where you're going to have, because we're working our flow from our customer, we definitely want to start with our POS system, plenty of room to be able to hand out a bit of food or whatever we need to here. Get your width of your grinder, and then make sure you start to allocate about 100 mil as you put each item on. So we've got our automatic tamper there. Then we go into our machine. We've got about 150 mil here, which is just gold for our baristas to be able to work on. And that's where that 900 deep bench allows you to push that machine back a little bit. We've then got about 150 mil before our jug washer. And we find that the team basically stack all of their milk jugs there so that they're just really easy and handy and to get to. And you can pop a couple of alternative milks there as well if you've got a jug washer. So making sure that you've got about 300 mil from the barista's working edge to where your jug washer is. It means they're not overstretching or doing an odd movement to use a jug washer. It just becomes a natural thing where they can froth, pour out their orders, slide them over and put them in a tray or whatever they need to, and then easily you can just put it on and wash a jug. So I'm not really overstretching or moving, and that's really going to help with RSI and less movements basically. So getting that position of the jug washer is a really key part of it. And then making sure you've got that 600 bench to be able to just have space to load up orders and put multiple cups out there as well. So I hope that information helps you to design your cafe or your espresso bar with some of the key things to consider. You've really got to make sure you get it right. So remember power, your water, your supply, your drainage, how much space you're going to need under there for fridges, and make sure you really do start laying out the size of the equipment that's going to fit in there, and then think about how that's going to be used, because if you just build a bench and plonk it in there and think it's going to work out afterwards, you're definitely going to get yourself a few challenges. Anyway, if you're designing a cafe or an espresso bar in Australia and you've got any queries, hey, reach out to us. We'd love to help you. And there is some extra content on our channel as well that can help you to nail your espresso bar perfect for the first time. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, everyone. Leave a comment down below and we'll catch you next time. Cheers.